It's the Gamble and Ginter podcast. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Season 3, episode 2.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a lot of fantasy football stuff today, guys. So if you have any questions about fantasy football, make sure you put them in the chat. We're going to be answering them live on the show today, but we have some college football coming up.
It's the first weekend of college football of the season, Pete.
It feels like just putting in that $2 parlay that me and Ryan do every time for 12 o'clock games felt
just
great.
For funsies.
We're
back. That officially means that we're back.
So we're going to get started with the Ncaa football randomizer. This is Amano's randomizer. We're going to also give out week 2 as well.
You got to let me know how you guys did, because I know you guys are saying you didn't do so great on your first couple of picks.
So week 1 was a complete success. We were 9-1 combined.
Yeah, I was 5-0. I gave five perfect picks. Pete was just off by one of them.
But that's not what the randomizer is supposed to do. See, you guys play to your strengths there. See, I'm trying to throw you off your game. I'm trying to make you think on your toes.
And week two, you definitely have.
So we have, I believe Ryan is 0-1. He had his first game last night.
It was
that was tough.
That was UNC versus Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I had overs. I actually bought down a point. It was 63 was the line. And I bet on over 62, and they put up 27 total points of offense.
And why did you pick over, though?
They played each other last year. The same matchup happened last year, and they scored over 100 points. It was a 56-45 game, and there was over 1,100 total yards.
So it
of
wasn't
offense.
like it was like a terribly led pick. It just didn't go the way you anticipated.
My research was this exact matchup happened last year. Like last year. That's what I'm going based off of, and they scored 27 points.
Now, what about
and
you,
I'm
Pete?
and I'm 1-1 this week. Now I had one of the worst beats.
Boise
I think
State
top 5
UCF?
worst beats. So Boise
Correct.
State UCF. I actually bought it down to 5.5 because again I wanted that clean 6 points.
Right.
And it really looked terrible going to start. I believe they were up 21-0.
Yeah, they were down 21 points at first half.
Sometime in the first half. Yeah, they ended up cutting it to 10, and then they took the lead early in the third quarter. Now, they just scored with 4 minutes to go, and they are up 5. Now, the actual football thinking, go for 2. Get it to 7 points, make them have to make the extra point. There is a false start that happens right away. So they get the ball at the 8-yard line.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, great. Now it's guaranteed an extra point. Now you got to kick it. Well, they decide to
continue
still
to go for it.
Yep. I guess that's what the numbers say in that situation, to still get there, even 8 yards out, and it's pretty obvious what you're doing. You're passing.
Right.
So
you have to. You can't. You're not running that ball in from the 8.
And then the quarterback tries to run the ball, and he gets beheaded.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel got his head taken off on the left side.
He somehow came back into the game. I don't know how.
He apparently was fine, but it did not look good at all. And the way he reacted after getting hit was bad too. But yeah, and
it just made no sense to not kick it there. And then, of course,
Boise
State goes down. It's a 5-point game. You lose on that one. But we did get a nice little plus 140 last night with Michigan State winning easy.
That was big.
So we are 1-1. Me and Ryan have 3 picks today that we're going to give out to you. Now, how do you want to do this, Ryan? You want to give your 3, and then I'll
go back and forth.
Okay, we'll go back and forth. So, Ryan, give us a start since this is technically your second game.
That's correct.
Well, Army versus Georgia State.
And he has his final game on Sunday.
Okay.
So Army versus Georgia State is going to be the first game I'll give you. These two teams were under machines last year. I'm telling you, like when they at the end of the year, they were getting 42.5 points. Right now, this game is at 50. Army at Georgia State. I'm going to go under 50. I think when you gave me this last week, I was like, this is an under bet. Easy. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with it.
All right, I got my first game. It's going to be Stanford, Kansas State. Now, This is a matchup of two teams that were probably one of the worst tackling teams last year. There are going to be a lot of missed tackles in this game. Kansas State starting quarterback is really the big difference from them going, let's say, 6-6 compared to 2-11.
Yeah, you're right.
They're both teams are incredibly average for the most part, but he's a good quarterback. He's healthy for this game. So I think they're going to be able to put some points up as well as Stanford. They started playing very well, 4-2 to finish last year, and they started to get things going on offense. I think this goes over 54 for the official pick. I'm going to buy it down to 52.5. So I'm going to take that at -140.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't give my odds. My odds for under 50 are at -115. Okay, so my next game is actually one of my favorite games, probably top 3 favorite games of the day in the entire college football slate. Indiana at Iowa, and both these teams looked really, really good last year, but I think Iowa is the better team this year. Thus, they're being favored by 3.5 at home. I'm gonna buy it down to that $3 mark for -130, but I think Iowa's gonna win this game, and I think it'll be close, but that's why I wanted to buy it down, just to give us, just in case that field goal.
This is going to be at Iowa, correct?
Yes, correct. It's Indiana at Iowa.
Yeah, no, and I know Indiana's Fogile, I think his name is, that wide receiver. They're going to have one of the best wide receivers in all of football, but
you can bet that Iowa's going to have one of the best tight ends in this draft, though.
And you saw yesterday,
they always have one.
The Virginia Tech game specifically, how much home field advantage kind of matters nowadays.
Gosh. It was incredible, especially after having
by the way, how great
no
was
fans
that?
Last year.
Oh, I cannot wait.
The Virginia Tech game. When they got Enter Sandman was what they played when they entered the arena, and that's when I was like,
pretty good.
Oh no,
my favorite.
UNC's in trouble.
My personal favorite is South Carolina. Now it's not a great home field advantage, but they do Sandstorm. For every kickoff. Nice. It's really dope. My second game, I've got the Marshall Thundering Herd versus Navy.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful game.
Now, this game, I thought when I got it, I was like, this is 100% an under. But I really looked into it, and Navy, other than really Army last year, they really didn't play that great of defense against anyone.
Right.
Marshall was one of the better stories of 2020. Yes, they had a terrible loss where they lost 35-0 to Rice, but they could have had an undefeated season. They returned that quarterback who was technically a redshirt freshman last year. He is still categorized as a redshirt freshman based on his playing time.
Oh, yeah, because of COVID last year. That's right.
So that's a big advantage. He's basically a sophomore back there. They were a good team last year. 10 out of 13 returning people who started for them last year because they were pretty consistent.
On offense or defense?
Defense.
Nice.
And I think Marshall takes the -2.5. I'm going to take the -2.5 for 110. That's a great price. -110
for Marshall.
2.5. I mean, I was thinking Marshall money line to be safe, but man, that is a good tag.
Yeah,
I like it. To get that 3-point edge again. Most games to get 3 points there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so my third bet is in the University of Louisiana Lafayette and the Texas game, which, as I started looking more into it, I got very intrigued by it. Louisiana Lafayette's starting off inside the top 25 for the first time in program history in college football. They ended the year inside the top 25. And going up against the Texas team that lost Sam Ehlinger, they lost free safety, middle linebacker, wide receivers, and they have a new head coach.
Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese?
Yeah, they have holes in their defenses.
Yeah, no, it's there's a reason they're ranked 21st to start the season. Louisiana Lafayette ranks first in all of college football in people they're bringing back for another season,
and they were good last year.
They were good last year.
It was unfortunate that Coastal Carolina was there. Otherwise, they could have competed.
Yep. And like I said, they're ranked first in all of college football for how many people they're bringing back onto this team. They're at when I made this bet, they were at +9. Right now, they're sitting at +8.5. The line is moving away from them. So I bought it back up to that +9 that I had it at for -120, and I'm taking Louisiana Lafayette +9.5. I think this is a 1-score game.
Love it. No, I'm very high on Lafayette as well this season. Last pick that I have, it's probably the game that's going to be on 90% of the time. when we get done here and we start watching some college football.
Oh,
That's Penn
o'clock?
State versus Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait because how great was the crowd last night in Virginia Tech? Like, it's going to be amazing in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's got
it's going to be amazing in
great
Wisconsin.
fan base.
And Penn State started to play their better football later in the year. They started out 0-5. They looked abysmal, even despite having people who are NFL talents.
Right.
They just couldn't get it done. I think they're bringing in a better team this year. They again had a lot of the COVID issues last year, so a lot of their games got kind of messed around. But I really like the over in this matchup. Both teams are returning their starting quarterbacks.
Ooh, the over is pretty low.
And it's 49.5. And this is a low total for like a college football game. Wisconsin doesn't really run at a pace, but they have a very, very good quarterback that makes good decisions. And they've been less of a running team recently and been more of a passing team.
Yeah.
So they air it out a little bit more. And Penn State, again, once they got things rolling, they were scoring some points.
These two teams do have pretty good defenses, though. Like Penn State's always known for their defense.
Penn State has 3 of the best linebackers in football, again, for like the 12th straight year.
Right, exactly.
So with Penn State, they're always...
Penn State, wasn't that Micah Parsons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Exactly. They always bring in talent. You can name several. But I will say, in this particular game, I think we see a little bit more offense. I think it goes over the 49.5. I think that's a really, really low number.
Yeah, me too.
You get caught up in how good these defenses are, and you kind of forget that these teams both have good offenses. But again, first game in the year, hostile crowd.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Nice. I like that pick, Pete.
So that was the randomizer for week 1. Now, Amano, do you have the picks for week 2? We are also going to give this out with the graphic because the odds, I don't believe, are fully available yet.
They're not.
Yeah, the odds are not out yet, but the games I do have picked, they are solidified. And I'll start off with Pete's first game for next week. It'll be Iowa versus Iowa State.
Nice. I got the matchup in the cornfield.
Ryan's first game is the game that Pete was trying to say, just give me that game. Oregon versus Ohio State.
Oh my God. Game. Yes.
That's going to be
a lot of fun.
Pete, saw your shirt. Washington versus Michigan.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if you stick by what your shirt says. And if not, your in-laws may beat your ass, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
I can bet an over and an under too. I can save face both ways.
You could. Utah versus BYU is going to Ryan.
God, I can't wait to pick something. Either one
Mountain
I pick, I'm picking
battle.
Mormons to win.
Yeah. Either way, I'm picking some Mormons.
Either way, a Mormon's going to win that game.
Pete, your next, the third pick is going to be Stanford versus UCF or USC. Sorry,
USC Stanford.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a rivalry.
I don't know why I wanted to say UCF.
That's always a good game.
That's a rivalry match.
Yeah, that's Pac-12.
USC versus Stanford. Now on to Ryan. I did this also out of spite for Pete. Kansas versus Coastal Carolina.
Yes. Our favorite team last year makes its first appearance.
And
by the way,
balled this weekend. They played on Thursday.
Should be worth mentioning that Kansas State did win their first game since 2019.
Well, this is Kansas, not Kansas State.
I know Kansas won their first.
Yeah.
I meant Kansas. They won their first game since 2019 against South Dakota, an FCS school, and they stormed the field on a Friday night.
Wonderful.
They were favorited by 11 and a half.
Them. They hadn't won. Their school hadn't won a game in forever.
Not to sound biased, but hopefully they have that same energy when the Chanticleers fuck their shit up.
That's true. I mean, I was at UCF when they went winless. Like that was in between Blake Bortles and Mackenzie Milton, who's actually playing today. Or no, they're playing tomorrow
for Florida State. That'll be your game
against Notre Dame. That's correct.
Your fourth game to pick from Pete is Nichols versus Louisiana. Nichols versus Louisiana.
What?
Yeah.
Nichols State versus Louisiana?
It said Nichols with 2 L's.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll be diving deep.
You're gonna have to.
All right. So now on to Rye. Rye, you have Idaho versus Indiana.
Okay.
That's your fourth pick.
Yeah. Indiana's really good.
Pete, your fifth pick is UNLV versus Arizona State.
I love me some Sun Devils. Love me some Sun Devils
Isn't
football.
That where,
Chad Johnson Jr.'s there. Shout out Chad Johnson.
Oh, nice. Shout out Chad Johnson.
Shout out Ocho Cinco.
What's up,
Retweeted
Ocho?
that Broward County Breakers giveaway.
Yep.
Make sure y'all participate in that. But the last pick for Rye is Ball State versus Penn State.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A battle beyond the field for Penn State.
Some action going on. No, I'm excited. Those are going to be good. Those are going to be a lot of good games.
Penn State shouldn't be playing Ball State.
And there's also a lot of teams in there that I wouldn't normally bet. And I know, Pete, you too. You wouldn't normally bet some of those teams, which this is why I love the randomizer.
I'd never see Nicholls State ever. I was confused for a second. I know everyone.
I'm excited. Maybe we can find another one of our unsung heroes for the year in some of these games that we bet on in the randomizer.
Sounds good. But we already know what time it is. It is the show that what it's about today is fantasy football. Now, for all of you guys, I believe this was like the first form of gambling. Was playing in fantasy leagues as like a 13-year-old man.
Yeah, if you want to if you want to call yourself a man at 13, I wasn't a man, that's for sure.
Okay. I got bar mitzvahed at 13, so I can confirm.
I was 4'8", so
Daniel's the only
that
one
for what you wish.
Daniel's the only one at this table who's allowed to say that he was a man at 13 years old.
I was forced to become a man at 13.
Wow, that took a turn.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
So, Pete, lead us in.
All right.
This was the first, that was the first form of gambling for me, at least. I didn't start when I was 13. I think I started when I was 18 or 19, and have been playing ever since in the same league. We've been in the same league every year for 7 years now?
Yep.
8 years now.
A lot of you guys have your drafts coming up this week. I would say anyone who plays fantasy football usually waits until the injuries are done to draft, unless, again, in my father-in-law's league, you had to draft like 2 weeks early. Yeah. And you have to draft defensive players and all that good stuff. It's awesome. It was an auction draft. It's way different. Never done this, but this is your standard fantasy. Now we're going to be looking at half point PPR, full point PPR, all that different stuff, but to like give you, kind of a strategy leading into it. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the running back position. Now, I think we can agree the top 4 are pretty much set.
Yeah.
Like the guys you want 1 through 4. I mean, you're talking about Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, or Derrick Henry, something in that order.
Yeah, those are going to be, and because running backs, especially those top tier that you just named, those 4 that you just named, they're going to, and I mean, some people might even throw Saquon into that. We still haven't seen Saquon to what everyone expected him to perform at, and I don't think anyone's given him a fair shot yet. He could definitely be in that discussion as well.
Okay, so if that's kind of where you see. So who are you not letting get out of the first round? Like, what is the running back? Because again,
I took Kamara. I had the 5th pick.
So if you had the 5th pick and you got Kamara, that's a great pick.
Go. Yeah,
but I'm talking about if you're at 7, 8, if you're like in the first round, who are you not letting get to the 9th pick?
I mean, maybe like 7, 8. You're probably considering someone like potentially a Jonathan Taylor, where the QB situation is somewhat up in the air with the Colts. You're hoping Carson Wentz is going to do good, and that if he doesn't do good, then you got Jacob Eason, the wing.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to happen there. But Jonathan Taylor had a solid rookie season last year, so he could be someone that gets a lot of touches.
Yep, I agree. Someone who I am very high on this year that I have the 7th overall pick, and if he's still there, I'm going to take him. But my pick would be Najee Harris.
So a rookie
in
running
the
back.
first round at the 7th pick?
Yes. The last time they had a competent running back playing in the Steelers backfield, 80 catches easy. Big Ben's not the same quarterback he used to be. They're going to be running the ball a lot more. Offensive line isn't that great, meaning quicker pass rushers.
He's going to catch a lot of passes.
He's going to get the ball dumped off to him, and he's the only one in that backfield who's going to be getting serious touches.
So mine is Nick Chubb. That's the kind of guy I think it's if you are in the late rounds and you end up with Nick Chubb, I think you're feeling great. Again, he got hurt last year, but otherwise,
he's got Kareem Hunt that's going to be stealing the passing
has been
downs.
Great. His production has been great, even with Kareem Hunt there.
You're right.
But Nick Chubb is a first-round player, and I'm not letting him out of the first round.
He went 9 in my league. He went number 9.
I would say that's a good pick right there.
Another person, Pete, and I think we both agree on him, is Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is a consensus first-round pick, personally. I don't think A.J. Dillon's going to take that much away from him in the passing game, for
he's
sure.
Not going to take anything away from him in the passing game. What he's going to take away from him is those bruising runs from the 2 or 3 or 4 yard line on second down at the goal line.
But he's fantastic in goal line situations.
What I will say about Aaron Jones, right? He slipped into the 2nd round for my draft. So
that's incredible.
That depends
great value.
Who is people in your league picking. That could be somebody that maybe if you have those back-to-back picks in a snake draft at the end, You know, you could take Aaron Jones and then maybe even somebody like a Derrick Henry.
Well, Derrick Henry should be going in the top 4 picks.
I'm saying he's top 4 pick.
Derrick Henry should be going in the top 4
never
picks.
mind.
He's a top 4 pick, no
but
question.
Maybe like a receiver like Devontae Adams.
If you're going to go receiver,
or like DK Metcalf.
If you don't value any of these running backs that highly, absolutely go with the safe pick, as you can go with any wide receiver you want because no wide receivers will have been taken by that point.
So we're going to talk about receivers, and this is kind of like...
Wait, Pete, hold on. Before you get into receivers.
Well,
okay.
No, well, we're going to talk about receivers later on, but for the running back position, we feel like getting a good number 2 running back this season is going to be very key. Because the receivers, again, we'll talk about them later, but it's a very deep position. So if you're looking for that second running back, right, who's the guy that you're looking at saying, this is my guy at the second running back position?
I mean, it depends on when they're going to be drafted.
So,
because we haven't even mentioned Zeke yet.
Yeah,
we haven't even mentioned
Zeke went
Zeke.
7th in my league.
Like he's someone that I would pick later on in the first round, possibly if he's still there.
I would let him slip to the second.
I'd let him slip. I agree with. I agree with
because you want to know what? No, Dak is going to come back, and Dak is going to be the one to have a big season. I don't know why people keep trying to reinvest into Zeke.
Zeke is going to get his numbers, but he hasn't been top 5 running back for the past 2 years.
Yeah,
and
probably going to go on 3.
And I see other guys what their production is, and I don't know if the Cowboys are, they have great weapons, great skill position guys, but you see how important that quarterback position is to making it all work. They've got 3 great receivers. They're not going to be just stuck
CeeDee
on
Lamb
running.
is going to start coming into his own now that Dak is going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Pete, to answer your question, you asked about who would be a good RB2, and I'm assuming if we're talking early second round, middle second round, my favorite RB2 on the board would be Austin Eckler.
Another case for a first round pick.
Eckler.
I would almost consider him over Zeke.
He's somebody that people slept on last year, and he was dropping like a good 15 to 20 points plus sometimes.
Yeah, he got hurt too.
He was running back 2 or 3, and he got hurt.
Yep, and he got hurt, and now we know he's got a superstar quarterback in Justin Herbert. We didn't know what he was last year when you were drafting at this time last year. We didn't know he was going to be what he was, and broke every single rookie quarterback record with the worst offensive line in football. And Austin Eckler's healthy. He's going to be the number 1 easy RB2 pick.
My guy's Antonio Gibson. I think that's a solid pick that even if you possibly could get him in the 3rd round, that's great. But he's a late 2nd round pick for me. No doubt, and a great second running back to have. Again, a lot of the guys that are going to be good running backs, I mean, in that core, you're going to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which, again, it's in that Chiefs offense, so you imagine he's going to play.
Jonathan Taylor's in that discussion.
Chris Carson, who I know you always like.
I love Chris Carson, and I think he's going to have a huge year this year. He just needs to stay healthy. That's my only problem with him is he never stays healthy. He can put together a fantastic 11, 12-game season, but as far as fantasy goes for the entire year, you'd love to see him at least 14, 15 games for you, especially in a 17-game season.
No, I mean, but there are some good options, and there. What are your kind of low-key running back positions that you're thinking about? Hey, they're a little bit lower. I know you mentioned Raheem Mostert.
I think this is going to be the clearest cut backfield the 49ers are running out with in probably the last 3 years. They're still going to split time. They're still going to have everyone's going to get their touches, but someone that we need to keep on our radar, especially for that second, that RB2 position, is James Robinson with Travis Etienne going down a couple weeks ago.
I have 3. He was one of them. I was going to also say Joe Mixon, and then even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 other backs. Yeah, that I'm high
Clyde
on.
Edwards-Helaire. I never have liked Joe Mixon.
I think
Joe Mixon's. I feel like, again, he's going to be in a much improved offense.
Yeah,
with everything going on, and he's a good player. Like,
he's a fantastic player.
You can't question how good of a football player he is. Now, they lost Bernard, so they lost their RB2 that was kind of taking snaps away. He may be a true 3-down back. Now, I don't like him enough because he doesn't get enough red zone work. to be a number 1 running back.
Yeah.
But he's certainly a good for a number 2 running back. My favorite, guy who I consider an RB2 because of his situation, very similar to James Robinson, is Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
And
now
his goal line touchdown percentage cannot be ignored. Look at what Mark Ingram did his year. Gus Edwards is a good running back. He's going to be able to reproduce that. And I would look very closely at what their roster is. You definitely want their RB2 in that situation. Because again, Lamar Jackson's probably going to lead them in rushes.
You want to hear a crazy pick in my league? Round 3, Myles Gaskin got picked.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. I think he's a good RB3, RB4, at least to start the year. But again, if you're a Dolphin fan,
he was not even a flex.
I think
Myles Gaskin's not even a flex.
He's going to be a flex this year. Yes. Again, we play in a 3 flex league. He's going to be a flex.
Maybe. A low-key guy.
He's a starting running back who catches passes. I mean, he's good. I wouldn't say 3rd round good, but he's good.
A low-key guy to keep your eye on, I would say, is DeAndre Swift for the Lions. Remember, no more Matthew Stafford. We have Jared Goff there. New head coach, Dan Campbell's there. He loves to be physical. He's going to be all about defense. He's going to be all about the power, not really necessarily power run, because DeAndre Swift is a little bit of he's more of an elusive back. He's a smaller running back. But he should be getting a ton of touches and a ton of looks out of the backfield from Jared Goff. I think more so than when Matt Stafford was there, because Matt Stafford's got that unbelievable arm, loves to take it down the field, always has had pretty good receivers. Kenny Golladay is now moved on to the Giants, and Marvin Jones Jr. has moved on to the Jaguars, and they don't really have aside from obviously TJ Hawkinson, but yeah, DeAndre Swift, keep your eye on him for sure as well.
We're going to move on to quarterbacks right after this, but I want you to give us your running back sleeper. Your running back sleeper this season.
Someone else we didn't. I mean, Pete, who's your running back sleeper?
My running back sleeper is Michael Carter for the New York Jets. I'm on record saying that the Jets are going to be a lot better offense than have been in a couple of years.
I have 2
and
sleepers.
I think Michael Carter is a fantastic running back. That's going to win the starting job over there and get the lion's share of the rushes. Again, he's 4th. He started out 4th on the depth chart. He's going to be at number 1 before the year ends.
I have two different sleepers. I think my first one's going to be Mike Davis for the Falcons. No one's really talking about him much. I think mainly because of the new addition to Kyle Pitts and the loss of Julio Jones. No one's talking about the fact that Mike Davis is going to be the number 1 running back in this backfield. And it's going to be a team that puts up a ton of points. I think the Falcons are going to score a lot of points. They're going to be terrible defensively. And then my second one is going to be, let's see. There he is. Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams ends up beating out Melvin Ingram for
Melvin Gordon.
That's what I said. Melvin Gordon for the starting position in Denver.
Okay.
I'm actually going to challenge that and say Melvin Gordon's the sleeper.
Ooh.
I actually like him in fantasy. He's put up solid fantasy numbers in the past, and I think they're going to have a rejuvenated offense with Bridgewater coming on in there.
I think they're going to be terrible.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team, but I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Like, I don't think Drew Lock is it. Like, honestly, I just don't like Drew Lock.
Well, exactly. He's not even getting the starting job, and he looked better than he ever has in the preseason this year, and they still didn't give him the starting job.
I would give
just
Teddy
want
Bridgewater the starting job too. Yeah,
they want consistency.
That's
he
what
was
you
a
need.
6 and 11 quarterback last year with the Panthers, with I think better weapons around him. Even though McCaffrey got hurt early in the season last year. I just think that Javonte Williams, you don't pick him in the second round. Melvin Gordon's on his last bit of his contract because he was traded over from the Chargers. So yeah, I think,
and he's an older running back.
Yeah, but it could also mean that they're preparing him for next year, and they want him to learn from a vet like Melvin Gordon. Something like that, just preparing him in the wings for now. It could be one of the two. I could be wrong. But I've had him in the past on my fantasy team. I liked his production. He's somebody I think that's low on the radar. As well as James Robinson. He's an obvious one, but he went in the 5th round in my draft. And if that's happening, and if you want a third, Antonio Gibson as well went in the 4th round.
Yeah. Wow.
I wouldn't let that happen.
You want sleepers. Like if these are going in the 4th and 5th round, these are guys that could be considered RB2s.
Yeah, that's some of them RB1s.
Let's move on to quarterbacks because again, the running back position is loaded. There's tons to talk about. But the quarterbacks right now, okay, so we all agree Pat Mahomes is 1.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Easy.
We all agree upon that. Now, number 2, we were surprised to see that in some they have Kyler Murray.
They
as
have
number 2.
Kyler Murray in some circles.
We're
as number
pretty.
2.
Me and Ryan are pretty set that the number 2 quarterback is going to be Josh Allen.
It's not even a debate.
It could easily be number 1 too.
Last week on this show, I said that Josh Allen will be the MVP. I said that last week on this show.
At one point or this year? Yeah, because he could be. You're right.
No, I mean this year. This year he'll be the MVP.
So
I think he's the clear number 2. Kyler, you can take
from
third.
a fantasy perspective. Regardless, they're going to throw the ball a lot, and he may lead the team in rushing.
He did last year.
Again, he is their best running back that they've got, and he's very smart with it. They run a pure fantasy offense, and he plays the Dolphins twice a year.
Yes, and he's massive. The dude's 6'5", and he runs like a 4.4.
Yeah, no, and definitely a guy I would not let slip. I think I'm picking him early. I think he is the unquestioned number 2 quarterback. Kyler Murray's good. How about Lamar Jackson?
I mean,
Lamar Jackson actually went second in my league.
So Lamar Jackson,
second overall?
No.
Second quarterback.
Second quarterback.
Yeah.
You can think definitely he's going to get over 3,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards for the season, especially with the injury to J.K. Dobbins. I was going to say,
especially with J.K. Dobbins being out, like you're going to see he's going to have over 1,000. I think over 1,000 yards rushing this year.
The question is going to be what is going to be the offensive production as a whole, because they had some trouble last year with a lot of keeping some dudes on the field.
I mean, hell, they signed Des Bryant.
They have to play that Browns defense twice a year, and they have to play that Steelers defense twice a year also. I don't think they're really worried about the Bengals defense in that division, but
no,
they're still, even with that, they're still favored to win that division.
I'm a big fan of him. I think his rushing production, especially in these leagues, that rushing is so important.
He'll have 10 rushing touchdowns.
I think you're going to need it, and his touchdown production is going to be great. It's always going to be great,
fantastic.
So moving on, and then it gets a little weird. Now, the one I wanted to talk about, because you were seeing him at number 11 on some.
Let's see it.
Some lists.
You
were seeing him at number 11 on this list, and it made me want to throw it out. Last year's MVP, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, is at 11 on this list.
He was like the 4th QB taken in my league.
Yeah, I mean,
I ended up with Brady.
He was QB1 as far as production, and that's with Patrick Mahomes playing 16 games last year.
I believe Brady's 10 on this list.
Brady is 10 on this list.
You can't go wrong with Brady at the end of the day. Like, he's not the ideal fantasy QB.
Why won't he be the MVP this year? If you're taking week 12, which was after their bye week last week, and on, Tom Brady was the best quarterback statistically in the NFL.
With the same 22, right?
Not a single person is out of place from where they won the Super Bowl.
The guy I'm probably targeting as far as a quarterback is, I would say, Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I'm loving how much that offense is going to be able to pass, especially with a running back running 3 downs like Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of short, easy throws that go for yak with guys like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's one of the best route runners in football.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree.
And a great option to throw to. This kid's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, phenomenal. He's already phenomenal.
I mean, he broke every rookie passing record ever with the worst graded offensive line in football.
And I think he's going to be a pretty good fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, and someone else we haven't mentioned yet is Russell Wilson. He's always a top 5 quarterback.
He's always consistent.
And he throws to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Absolutely. Yep. He's always, and he runs the ball well as well. And you said Josh Allen's very smart with the ball. This might be the smartest runner with the football that we have in the NFL right now.
He doesn't run as much, but
he doesn't. He does not.
But at the same time, he definitely could beat you with his legs. And he's got great receivers. He's a QB1, no questions asked, and you can get him at value because on this list he's number 8.
Yeah, no, you can. If you're in a 10-team league, if Russell Wilson's the 8th quarterback off the board, you're set. You're looking good, and that means you also have a great first half of your team as well. Someone I'm not as high on that I'm seeing on this list is Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that I don't think
he's a top 10
has
quarterback.
Julio Jones.
Yes,
who's not. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback specifically with how much of a threat Derrick Henry is.
Right, and I think that's where they're gonna. It's Mike Vrabel. They're gonna be.
Julio has not given you touchdown production in a couple of years.
They're going to be.
You know who he's gonna free up touchdown production for?
AJ
Brown. They're gonna be a finesse passing offense, and they're gonna be a power running team. They're gonna be.
They could lead the league in points.
They're going to be. It's going to be a lot of play action. It's going to be a lot of under center No, like very
Stretch.
little shotgun.
You'll be running
like,
a lot of stretch with.
It's going to be old school.
You're getting
football.
Derrick Henry out to your cornerbacks and having him run them over.
Derrick Henry's going to have another 300 touches again this year. Like it's going to be, as long as he can stay healthy, he'll have another 300 touches this year. And that's why I think we all had him in our top 4 picks. But I again, that's another reason I don't have Tannehill very high on this list.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Matt Stafford either. I know a lot of people are picking him as like a trendy, a super like setup for a MVP, but I mean, I don't necessarily like the offense that the Rams have together. Like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are good options. Tyler Higbee's an okay option. But again, they haven't, they've committed a lot to that defense. They have a lot of money tied up in that defense, and they really haven't drafted that well because they haven't had picks.
Right. Now, Pete, if you had to name me a sleeper, like if you're like, oh man, you're just down bad late, and like the 10 quarterbacks have come off the board, or 9 quarterbacks come off the board already. Who's someone that you can set it and forget it all year long that no one's thinking about?
And I think this guy is a great value to a team. He may not be considered a quarterback 1, but he did lead all quarterbacks in pass attempts last year, and that's Matt Ryan. Again, there's going to be a lot of volume with Matt Ryan. So for him to be 14 and 15 on some lists, you got it twisted.
Yep.
You got it twisted. This guy's going to be throwing the ball a ton. They're going to be down. They have weapons like Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, who are just absolutely great options to have.
I mentioned it earlier. The Falcons are going to score a ton of points. Their defense is terrible. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot because they're going to be playing from behind most of their games. This is a 6-7 win team, and they're going to be in a ton of shootouts. I think all of their games, if not most, are going to be shootouts because this is they're a very, very good offensive team. And again, that's why one of my sleepers was Mike Davis.
Yeah. 2 QBs that actually fell very low in my draft. Round 12, Justin Fields. Round 14, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence going that low.
Rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah. Justin Fields is not surprising only because he's not the starter. So he's not going to be getting 100%.
Do you think he starts this year, though?
Absolutely.
Would you stash him in the case that he starts?
It would be a joke if he doesn't.
Justin Fields should be the starter week 1.
Correct. He should be. I agree with that.
Justin Fields should be the starter week 1.
Andy Dalton, what was it? It was like $13 million. He was just like, we're going to squeeze as much as we can.
Okay, he'll be gone next year.
Right.
We drafted the guy. He's ready before we thought he would be ready.
Yep.
The kid's ready. He's athletically, he's got some things like with his footwork that he really needs to fix because it won't be consistent. But the man is like, he can terrorize your defense. You can run a full contain. He's still fast. He's going to get around it.
Agreed. Someone who I'm higher on than most, I feel, from what I've been seeing and the predictions for this team that I've been seeing all preseason. That's Jalen Hurts. I don't think it was really a question that he was going to win this starting job, although he was just named, I believe, yesterday as the starter. I really, really, really believe that this kid's going to be, I don't want to say something special, but he's going to be better than people think. I think he makes them a 6-win team.
Again, the running potential is the appeal there because he can give you 100 yards rushing with a particular game.
He went round 7 in my draft.
Yeah, you saw the good and the bad. You saw the good and the bad last year. You saw the good first, and then you saw more bad after his good, and that's what we're judging him on. We're judging him on the last little bit that we've seen of him. He didn't have a ton of time to start in the NFL, and now he's got a full preseason under his belt that they didn't have last year. Got the starting job. It's his to lose now, and I really do think he's gonna flourish in this spot.
Let us know if you have any quarterbacks that you'd want us to know from the audience. But let's move on to wide receivers because
deep.
It's a deep class. We mentioned this or we kind of teased it. It's a very deep class. I'm looking at receiver 1 through 10. Studs down the board. Let me just read about Javonte Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. Okay. Agreed.
Javonte Adams or Tyreek Hill. If you have one of the top 7 picks, they're up there with those top 7 picks.
Now, I would go if you gave me that choice. My first choice would not be Tyreek Hill. My first choice would be Javonte Adams.
I think he
You
can.
think even with the return of Randall Cobb?
Yes.
I do, and I think Randall Cobb will have 500 yards receiving this year.
Yeah,
I don't expect Randall Cobb to come back and
He's
look
not
like
gonna
he
lead
did
into
side by
I'll tell
side
you
with
why
Jordy
Davante
Nelson.
Adams. I'll tell you why Davante Adams, because last year Tyreek Hill was the second leading receiver on his team, and I think that's going to be more of the same this year. Travis Kelce was the leading receiver on the Chiefs last year, not Tyreek Hill, and he was healthy all last year. That's the only reason I would pick Davante Adams,
And
because
Davante
also
Adams,
the touchdown
yeah,
production.
he had the most touchdowns. I think it was like 2
Touchdown
years
production.
ago, but he still had a high touchdown value last year as well.
Right.
No,
Tyreek Hill's more of like a late first. Like
he'll give you those big explosive games. You'll have that one
Yes.
game where he drops like 65 points out
I
of
had
nowhere.
him last year, bro. He
Remember that game against Tampa where he had
was
200 yards like
something
in the first half?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was insane.
First
it was
quarter.
absolutely insane.
First quarter.
Yeah, you're right.
It was all in one quarter.
3
That
touchdowns.
was, and I had him on my team. That was one of the craziest fantasy games.
Unbelievable.
It's
really unbelievable.
And it's that production, and of course, he's on the Chiefs. Now, again, the receiver position, I think 1 through 4, I think you're going to see them first 13, 14 picks this year.
Yeah, 1 through 4 wide receiver. Who are your 1 through 4 wide receivers, by the way?
So my 1 through 4, I like Davante Adams a little bit better. I agree with Tyreek Hill, but I have him third. I have Stephon Diggs number 2.
I was going to say Stephon Diggs as well.
I would say definitely Stephon Diggs, and
he had
then
the most receptions, right?
I believe you're correct.
So if you're in a PPR league,
yep,
that's a huge
PPR,
boost.
those are extra points right there.
I always see DeAndre Hopkins in that spot at 4.
Of course.
But Calvin Ridley's not far behind, and DK Metcalf's a monster also. So
what about Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson's right outside. He had 1,400 yards last year. It was I made a trade for him early last year, and it was one of the best trades that I think I've ever made in fantasy. It was wonderful.
You know, it's crazy. We still haven't even mentioned like AJ Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. I know Odell's coming back.
Well, Odell's going to be hurt. Yeah. Odell's going to be hurt, and he's not going to be ready for the first game. So that's going to be a little bit. I mean, again, the Browns offense was pretty good without him. But Nick Chubb is going to get a bigger workload.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt's also going to see a workload.
Someone that you're picking like a little bit later, maybe late 2nd round, early 3rd round, that's going to be Terry McLaurin.
Oh,
that dude's going to be a stud.
I got him on my
Scary
team.
Terry, I think, is your ideal. Same way. Again, I like the Washington offense of the prospect of Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin.
Yep. Amari Cooper's another great pick right around that same area, maybe late 2nd, early 3rd. Again, Pete, you said you thought Dak Prescott's going to be the Dallas Cowboys going to be putting up points, and Amari Cooper's leading this wide receiver core. But it depends on who you favor higher, him or CD Lamb.
Mm-hmm. I love Keenan Allen. I can't, like, if he's healthy, his production is always great. He's a PPR. If you are in a PPR league, Keenan Allen is perfect for you.
Yeah, no, he's going to be great, especially, again, you saw how great his numbers were last year, but he's another one of the dudes who just always seems to get hurt. Last year did not, but he just always seems to get hurt, and that's just why I'm a little bit reluctant on Keenan Allen. I love him, though. I did have him on my team 2 years ago.
Now, who would have ever thought that? I'm looking at this list that I'm looking at. It has him at 17. I imagine other lists may have him lower, but it's Julio Jones.
I'm having him at 19. Again, I am not that high on Julio Jones in Tennessee. This offense is not built for Julio Jones. I mean, maybe Julio Jones 4 years ago, any offense was really built for that Julio Jones, though.
Points. It's going to be one of the more exceptional offenses.
How about this for some wide receiver sleepers? In the 4th round of my draft, you had Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, and Allen Robinson.
You mentioned Adam Thielen needs to be in that conversation for these late 2nd,
He's
early
a touchdown
3rd round
machine.
Picks. All he does is score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson.
And what about Cooper Kupp even?
Cooper Kupp with
now
a new
with
quarterback,
Matt Stafford.
I will say for the last 4 seasons in fantasy football, I have either traded or received in a trade Adam Thielen.
Yes, I think,
and I bet you never regretted it.
Listen, if I
regretted it.
If I traded him, he has this thing where late in the season he starts to get injured, but he's one of the great players week 1 through 6.
Yeah, I would say if we're going a little bit later, maybe like late 3rd, 4th, even 5th round, depending on how your draft is going. I don't like really any of these Steelers receivers, but I think if I had to choose one, it would be Chase Claypool.
I almost brought up Juju, but I don't know. I feel like he lost his Juju.
I do not like Juju. I think Chase Claypool will emerge as the best wide receiver. I think Deontay Johnson, his drops have hurt him in the past, but he is a touchdown, like deep threat,
And if there's a team that's going to get him going, it is the Steelers. The Steelers usually do produce like good receivers, good linebackers, safeties. Like they're just machines at that.
Yeah, and I see Najee Harris being very similar to Le'Veon Bell. That's why I have him so high.
I mean, they always have a good run game.
What do you think about? I'm seeing on this list a couple of like really low, good sleepers. Tyler Lockett at 20. I know he's boom or bust.
He was the first pick of the 5th round in my draft.
I know he's boom or bust, but I feel like that's great value.
Very good value. I'm seeing at 30 on my list someone who was, again, when they're healthy, he's still young, but when they're healthy is a top 10 receiver in the league, and that's DJ Chark. DJ Chark is going to, like, especially now with a viable quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. At 30, you can get him in the 5th or 6th round.
I see Brandon Ayuk and DJ Moore also great low end.
DJ Moore is going to be very good. I think
receivers.
Sam Darnold will do very well in Carolina, especially in that college offense that Matt Rule is going to be running over in Carolina. Another dude I told you before we even started, Pete, even though he does have Teddy Bridgewater throwing to him, he's coming back after a torn ACL. He was out all last year, and that's Cortland Sutton. I'm very high on Cortland Sutton. His first year in the league, he had 1,100 yards. 1,100 yards and maybe like, I don't know, 65, 70 catches.
I think one of the people that is, it's a little bit more of a sleeper, but I think his value is going to go up now with the injury to ETN, and that's Laviska Shenault.
Yeah.
He was kind of like that key, kind of ran. He played everywhere. He played running back. He played wide receiver. And he's going to have the opportunity to do a lot of that still this season with a better quarterback. So I don't understand. Like he's someone I would think is an interesting pick later on. That could be
was
very
good last year. He stepped up in the injury when DJ Chark got injured. So he was very good last year.
Do you like any of the rookie wide receiver situations? Maybe to Jamar Chase if he learns how to catch. But I don't know.
Again, I saw his stats for the preseason, and he had 1 catch, 6 targets, and 5 drops.
Devontae Smith, anybody?
Devontae Smith,
I like
him and Jalen Hurts, again, don't forget, played at Alabama together before Jalen Hurts transferred to Oklahoma. They have that synchronization already.
And Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle, I think, is going to be very good. I just think he's in a very crowded wide receiver room.
Because you have Devontae Parker, you have Albert Wilson. That was one thing I was going to mention, but I think
they just got Will Fuller, who's could be another sleeper, and they have a Pro Bowl tight end in Mike Gesicki.
Dolphins are sounding nice this
season. They're going to be, if Tua can get them the ball.
Yeah, that's going to be the big key factor. Yeah, is Tua going to be able to get them the ball? They're saying Tua seems like a changed leader, so hoping that equates to better on-field production.
He can lead all he wants. Can he pass them the ball?
That's what matters.
You know what I mean? Matters.
Okay, so who is at the wide receiver position? Who is like your super sleeper?
My super sleeper?
Super sleeper. I'm talking about somewhere who's not in the top 40. Someone who's not a top 40 consensus guy.
Allen Robinson.
He's
going to be a top 10
They have him in the round 4 in my draft, so I'm going with him as a sleeper.
That's a great pick.
All right.
He's a top 10 wide receiver.
I'm talking late.
We're talking like maybe 10.
Probably like an Amari Cooper.
We're not on the same page.
We're talking like deep, like second, third wide receivers on teams. So I'm going to say my first one is going to be Gabriel Davis from the Bills. You saw him kind of break out last year, and I think he continues that this year. You're going to get a little bit more eyes off of him with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders with the Bills as well.
And Josh Allen still got Cole Beasley there too.
Exactly. And so Gabe Davis, I think he was someone that was looked at a lot in the red zone last year because he is a taller target and he's got amazing hands. He's just not super, super fast. But Gabriel Davis would be one of my sleepers that if he's still available, you need a flex, boom, right there.
And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be a number 2 to number 3 receiver. Like you said, I see a number 1 receiver here that's at 44 on this, and that's Marquez Callaway. He's going to be the number 1 receiver for the New Orleans Saints
for about 4 to 5 weeks.
Again, Michael Thomas had some problems injury-wise, but I love Marquez Callaway and what he does because he's more of a deep threat.
Yeah, he looks great.
Michael Thomas, again, slant boy.
I got 2 for you guys. Corey Davis on the Jets.
I like that one.
And then Brian Edwards on the Raiders.
Wow. Okay, we're on the same page then.
I'll do you one better, and he's also on the Jets. Elijah Moore.
Big fan.
Elijah Moore is going to shock people. I'm talking not Danny Amendola. I'm talking Julian Edelman-esque. I'm talking Wes Welker-esque. Small, shifty, fast. very fast. Unbelievable hands. He's going to be used in the slot. Zach Wilson's just going to hit him on slants. The dude's going to take off. I'm telling you, he's going to be very, very good.
Two other ones I really like. Curtis Samuel. Once he does come back for the football team, I think he's going to be a great weapon for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And probably my favorite and my deepest, Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Detroit Lions. He's going to be likely the number one.
The museum that Ben Stiller worked in?
Yes.
Okay.
Same guy.
Nice.
That's nuts.
I was also going to throw in Tyler Boyd. Given that Jamar Chase has been having a pretty bad off season or preseason.
Again, that's another very deep wide receiver room and a very young wide receiver room as well, especially with AJ Green leaving to Arizona.
Yep.
I would say my last one, Pete, I'm sorry, I do have one more that I'm seeing right now, and he could very well be the number 2 receiver on this team. Probably going to be the best offense in the league. Mecole Hardman. I think Mecole Hardman's going to have a breakout year. We've been waiting 3 years for this.
That's your guy.
He's my guy. I always pick him in Madden. He's fantastic. I just think he needs to step up.
All right, so let's move on to tight ends, and that's where we'll kind of finish the show after we get in our one prop. But tight ends, we had a long conversation about Travis Kelce. So if he was a receiver, where would he be rated?
If he was a receiver and
just behind Stephon Diggs is my answer.
He would have to be an early second round pick.
If you're talking just picking receivers, and that's wide receivers and tight ends, he needs to be the second or the third receiver taken off the board. Because if you're not picking him with your first pick, or if you've got like 10 and 1, you have to pick Travis Kelce with one of those picks. He's not going to be available.
90 to 100 catches likely. 13 to 1,400 yards likely.
10 to 12
touchdowns easy. Very likely. He is, guys, I think he's more of a fantasy own than Tyreek Hill. Personally.
Yeah, he was if you took him out of tight end and you put him in with the wide receivers, he was wide receiver 3 last year. He was wide receiver 3, and Tyreek Hill was wide receiver 5.
So I think the stigma of the tight end should be absolutely ignored. This guy should be a top 12 to 14 pick. I have a 14-team league that I'm in that I did from college. He should be a first-round pick, no question.
Yeah, disregard the fact that he's a tight end. Use him like he's a receiver, because that's what he is.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable what he's been able to do. And I think someone who's closely approaching that level is George Kittle.
When he's healthy. Again, he was not healthy last year, but he was thought of on the same level.
He was one. It was easy 1 and 2 with him, but I think that the sleeper for no reason is Darren Waller, and he's been absolutely amazing since coming into the league.
Yeah, and that's where the question becomes with the strategy. Where do you start seeing these tight ends picked? Because are you willing to go for a 3rd-round pick to pick Darren Waller? Kittle, I feel like I can make the argument for.
Darren Waller's a 1,000-yard receiver. He's a 60, 70 catch guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's easily going to be a touchdown target in the red zone.
You see, even in a monos draft, you can get some value at the running back and wide receiver position a little bit late.
I took Darren Waller at the 3rd round.
There you go. He'll be available in the 3rd round. People are still going to be picking their running backs. People want to get that wide receiver in the 2nd round.
I would say with the receivers available, I probably wouldn't take Darren Waller in the 2nd round.
He's not. Maybe late if you really are high on him.
Darren Waller or Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
Okay, I think Justin Jefferson in like a 10-team league is going to be there at that late 2nd round pick.
I think you're right. Yeah, you could be right. Now, Pete, I want you to hit on this guy.
Okay. I've got all day. I've got all day.
Please go ahead.
This is the best offensive athlete that's ever come out of the University of Florida. That includes Emmitt Smith, Fred Taylor, Tim Tebow, and all the other.
I can't believe you just threw Tim Tebow in there.
Listen, yeah, like he didn't just get cut for
at least say Aaron Hernandez
from a sports team.
He played minor league baseball also in
the
NFL.
Pouncey brothers. How about that?
Played minor league baseball because his name's Tim
Tebow.
Tebow.
He's incredibly athletic. Yes. Yes, I would 100%. But even better than all of them, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts for the Falcons this year. Now, I told you about Matt Ryan. He led the league in passing attempts last year. So you think he's going to stop passing just because Julio Jones isn't on the team? No, he's going to pass more.
Now
those targets are going to go to different people. Calvin Ridley, who I love this year, who I mentioned in the wide receiver segment, and Kyle Pitts.
Well, think about, yes, you said losing Julio Jones, but think about the wide receivers that we've seen flourish in that system. Austin Hooper, who's moved on to Cleveland, and Hayden Hurst, who he's gone as well, but I don't know exactly where he is. This kid, Kyle Pitts, is a better athlete than both of them. He's faster than both of them. He might be bigger than Austin Hooper. He's going to be a stud. So I wouldn't even mind picking him in the second or third round.
And I think rounding out the top 5 tight ends, like I think realistically we can think Mark Andrews, if he's healthy, is going to put up that production as well, because that's Lamar Jackson's favorite target. He's going to lead the team in receptions most likely. But the tight end position, I really see like there's some value later in some of the tight ends. Yes, I like TJ Hawkinson because he's going to lead the team in targets. Logan Thomas is definitely interesting. Noah Fant also in a weird situation. Yep. But
you know who we're sleeping on? This could be someone that, again, if you waited on your tight end, you still probably see him later on. That's Logan Thomas. Look at his numbers from last year. He was, I believe, the wide receiver 5. He was very, very good.
I think he's being drafted at tight end 7 right now. So
there you go.
I think that's about right. But keep an eye on some of the late guys. Again, I like Dallas Goedert's situation in Philadelphia with a young quarterback. I also like Mike Gesicki this season. I think
Gesicki, I mentioned Pro Bowler.
Him and Tua have a connection point. I would say in the red zone, there's not many more people more athletic. He does a lot of things that Gronk did when he was, a tight end. He's just nowhere near the blocker.
Right.
But route running, hands, making tough catches, he can do all that, and he's going to get a lot of targets, even with those Dolphins receivers that you mentioned.
Yeah, and he was one of them that I did mention. So, like I said, he is a Pro Bowler, but the one tight end that I think people do and are going to sleep on this year that you'll probably be able to get pretty late in your draft is Robert Tonyan Jr. For the Packers. I believe he was second in tight end touchdowns last year. He was the guy they looked for in goal line situations if they were passing. They're inside the 10-yard line. It was Tonyan.
Yeah, that Packers offense doesn't have a ton of targets. Like, we didn't even touch on Allen Lazard.
He's still there. He's just, he's someone you could have put in your late round sleepers for wide receivers, but I don't think he's not fantasy viable.
No, so there's a limited amount of target, but it makes the point for Robert Tonyan.
Right.
So again, I have him at 9 on mine, so I'm not as sleep on him, but again, he could be one of those dudes. Really late, a couple guys I'll just mention. Jonnu Smith, I think in New England is going to get a ton of targets.
And Hunter Henry, you have to mention
honestly,
as well.
He may get a couple rushing touchdowns this season.
Mac Jones is going to be seeing a lot. He's going to be on the field with a lot of 2 tight end sets, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They're 2 very, very good tight ends when on their own team. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do this year when they're both in the same.
And I'm a big fan of Pittsburgh tight ends. I like Pat Freiermuth. I like the rookie out of Penn State.
Yeah. And we haven't even hit on Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most potent offenses in the entire league.
It's going to be crazy. So hopefully you guys got some information that can help you out with your fantasy lineup this season. We're about to get kicked off for the NCAA football, but we will leave you with our one prop. So me and Ryan both have a prop that we have to put in. Amano, do you have a prop? No? Okay. Ryan, so what's your prop for today?
My prop, and Pete, you'll appreciate this. It's going to be the Twins versus the Rays. So they're playing in Tampa Bay. There is a left-handed pitcher pitching. Let me tell you exactly who it is. I think it was
Andrew Albers. Andrew Albers is who I saw. So he's
for the Twins,
and he hasn't pitched in the major leagues in a while.
Yeah, and this Rays lineup is really, really good. But my prop is going to be Wander Franco 2+ hits, and that's going to be at plus 135 odds.
Wow, I like that. I'm going to take minus 135 odds for a no runs first inning. It's the return of Trevor Rogers today. He takes on the Philadelphia Phillies, and they throw Ranger Suarez to the mound. For whatever reason, this guy's got an below 2 ERA this season. He's been great for them.
Yeah,
he's been great for them. I think both teams are motivated to get through that first inning. No hits. Nice. And I'm saying no runs. First inning, minus 135.
There we go.
Guys, thank you so much. We reached 500 followers on Twitter. So thank you so much to get us to that big milestone. Once again, for my producer, Amano, my co-host, Ryan, I'm Peter. Later, guys.
Have a good weekend.